I have to say I fall into the disappointed camp.
Okay.
I mean, I listened to what they had to say, and then I walked away, and the first thing that came into my mind was, it was a bit like when I was running my own business, and somebody owes you money, and then they say, check is in the post, right? And I had that feeling, the check is in the post, and you wonder when that check is going to arrive. And I think that is the way the market is probably going to feel at the moment, that yeah, there is probably going to be some money arriving. We don't know how much and when it is going to be there. And I think that is the underwhelming part of the MOF meeting. I think a lot of people had high expectations that they were going to put a number on it, 1 trillion, 2 trillion, 10 trillion, but there was no number.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if we go by the sort of mechanics and timings of the economic work in China, any sort of expansion in budget and bond issuance does need to be signed off by the folks over at the Standing Committee, the top brass, the NPC, which would be happening at the end of the month. So if we go by that, then hopefully we'll get something substantial and a less cryptic, you could say, then. But I mean, short of that, how patient can the markets be with this sort of incrementalism?
Well, you see, the other issue I had with that MOF briefing was either China doesn't know what they need to do, in other words, they don't know how big that problem is, or they don't care. In other words, what they're saying is, let them eat cake, right? We know that there's a problem with the housing market, so, well, these people got into the mess themselves, so I don't really care, right? And the third thing is, I just don't know what they can do in order to solve that problem, because I think that problem is very overwhelming. And so you have the three don'ts there. And until we actually see what is going to be coming out from the government, when the person at the top signs it off and says, right, this is what we're going to be doing. Because I think that problem is very overwhelming. The housing market is huge. And until they solve that problem, I think everything else is kind of irrelevant. I mean, it's all very well saying, oh, we're going to manufacture our way out of problems. But until you actually solve the consumer problem, the household debt problem that they have, how are you going to be driving that economy forward? Because ultimately, consumer spending is probably the most stable way in which a country can grow. And until you actually have consumers having that confidence to go out and spend money, everything else is incidental.